That night, Sonjin's father sat in his study, looking at his phone. He saw pictures of Sonjin and Minsu circulating and became upset at the thought of his sons sacrificing their family for her. As he was about to stand up to go find him, his wife walked in and immediately told him not to even think about it. He looked at her angrily, insisting that they were about to lose everything they had built because of Sonjin's reckless choice. He reminded her how close they were to saving their family name, only for their son to bring them shame. Determined, he declared that he was going to see Sonjin personally and knock some sense into him. His wife stopped him, saying she had had enough. She reminded him that they had already lost one son, and she refused to stand by and watch as he drove another into an early grave. She explained that Sonjin truly loved Minsu, and that nothing they did would change that. Forcing him into a marriage he did not want would only push him into depression. Almost in tears, she spoke about how she had watched her son lose himself after his brother's death. Now that she finally had him back, she was not willing to lose him again. Looking directly at her husband, she warned him that if he insisted on forcing Sonjin into this marriage, he might as well divorce her. Sonjin's father stood there, stunned by her words, unable to believe that she was also willing to sacrifice their family for Minsu. He rose to his feet, furious, insisting that he had worked hard his entire life and was not about to throw it all away. He reminded her that they, too, had been forced into an arranged marriage and had grown to love each other. He believed Sonjin would eventually learn to love Kim in the same way. His wife, however, reminded him of the suffering and pain they had endured before they finally learned to love each other. Their situation had been different because neither of them had loved someone else at the time, but Sonjin did. Taking Minsu away from him would destroy him. Moving closer, she repeated that she was not joking about the divorce, stating that it was the only way she could protect her son. With that, she walked out, leaving Sonjin's father standing there, both furious and confused. Meanwhile, Kim sat in the living room, watching TV and eating ice cream, seemingly unbothered by everything happening around her. Her father stormed in angrily, snatched the remote from her, and switched off the TV. He lashed out at her for having the audacity to sit there comfortably while bringing shame upon their family. He reminded her of everything he had done to help her secure Sonjin, only for her to be left humiliated at the altar. Kim, however, remained calm, telling him not to worry. She was confident that Sonjin would return because he needed them to save Tech Bloom. She believed it was only a matter of time before he came knocking, and once he did, everything would fall into place. Her father, still furious, warned her that Sonjin had better return, or else he would disown her and throw her out of the house. With that, he walked away, leaving Kim to turn the TV back on. Smiling to herself, she whispered that it was only a matter of hours before Sonjin came crawling back. Once that happened, he would finally realize how important and useful she was compared to Minsu. The next morning, Sonjin returned to his family home, where he was immediately met by his younger sister. She scolded him for disappearing without telling her, saying she had been worried about him. He smiled, playfully ruffling her hair, and assured her that he was back for good. When he asked where their father was, she warned him to be careful, as he was still very angry. Sonjin, unfazed, reassured her that he could handle it, and made his way to the study. Upon entering, Sonjin greeted his father, but his father ignored him. Instead, he glared at him, accusing him of having the audacity to disappear and embarrass the family on his wedding day, only to return as if nothing had happened. Sonjin apologized, but before he could explain, his father interrupted, saying that an apology meant nothing. The wedding had been of utmost importance, and now, by choosing an outsider over his own family, Sonjin had jeopardized everything. His father demanded to know how he planned to make up for it, insisting that it was not too late to go back to Kim's family, explain everything, and continue with the wedding. Looking directly at his father, Sonjin firmly stated that he was not going back to Kim. He declared that he was going to marry Minsu, and that was his final decision. Enraged, his father asked if he was really willing to sacrifice Tech Bloom for a simple girl who had nothing to offer. Sonjin, unwavering, responded that Minsu had given him everything he had ever wanted. He stated that he would choose her over and over again because that was how much she meant to him. Before his father could argue, Sonjin handed him a file.